بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. So the next right of the believer that we'll talk about tonight is returning his favors in the same way. There's hadith from or riwayat from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam that said, like for your Muslim brother what you like for yourself. If you need something, ask him for it. And if he needs something, don't withhold it from him. So we all wish that people would assist us in the same way that we would like to assist other people. We want to be treated in a similar way. So, for example, when we must think about when we give something to someone, we wouldn't want to give them the scraps of what we have left over, the things that are falling apart. We don't want to give those to someone. For example, clothes that have holes in them and are on their last leg, as we say. Um, we would rather give them something to them that is good, and we want to, because wouldn't we want to receive something that is good? We don't want to receive something that's in a bad condition, of course not. So we must also give other things to people that we ourselves would be happy to receive them. So when we give something, we have to ask ourselves, if I was in a lesser predicament or in a worse situation, would I be happy to receive this thing, or would I say, this thing is no good, it's not going to help me? So we should give things that are good to people. Something, is maybe gently used is okay, but we shouldn't give things that we ourselves wouldn't want to receive. And when we are in need of something, this narration states that we shouldn't hesitate to go and ask help from our fellow Muslim brother. And this is because we are one support group for each other. We're like a big, helping hand for each other. And we should make sure that we're lifting each other up and helping others where we may be strong at and they are in need. And they may be able to help us where we lack. For example, someone is strong in one area that we are weak in that area. Maybe, for example, um, a brother or sister has trouble with refraining from drinking alcohol. Maybe they are addicted and they have a very hard time resisting the temptation to drink alcohol. But in our situation, maybe we are someone who has no desire for alcohol. We have no taste for it, and we have never done it, and we don't want to do it. Or maybe it's someone who's overcome that battle already, and they are stronger in that situation where they can help the other one while they are suffering through that trial. And they can, they have programs, they call them like sponsors. When someone feels the urge to do something that is, we can say haram, then they call their sponsor and the sponsor talks them through it. Maybe someone is going through a difficulty. We should open ourselves to them and say, if you need any help, you feel down, you feel alone, you feel depressed, you feel like you want to go do something haram, for example, call me. We can go out, we can have a coffee, we can go walk by the, river or whatever, and get your mind off of it. Anytime you need help, I'm there for you, because we should support each other in this way. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, if a person has considered you to be trustworthy and has entrusted something to you, then you should return its trust in the perfect condition. And if a person has committed a breach of trust with you and betrayed you, then you should not betray them. Maybe you don't trust them anymore, but that doesn't mean that you have to betray them and get back at them and take revenge on them because they have done something wrong to you. So we're talking about returning the favor in the same way. So when someone gives you something as a loan or borrows you something, then we must return it in the same way that it is given to us. For example, if someone borrows a book to us, we should return it, in a good condition. We shouldn't return it with creased or torn pages. Or if someone lends us a car, we shouldn't return it damaged or with an empty tank of gas. We would want someone to return our car with gas if we lent it to them, so we should do the same for other people. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, you must return whatever you are entrusted with to its owner, whether he is a good person or a bad one. since Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has stressed that even a borrowed needle with thread should be returned to its owner. So we shouldn't keep the things that are entrusted to us for a longer period of time than what's needed. For example, your neighbor lends you a tool, you should return it when you finish, when the job is over, and not make him come search for it. Maybe he borrowed you his lawnmower and you just kept it after you mowed the grass. We should return it. He shouldn't have to come looking for his lawnmower, for example. It doesn't matter if someone who lends you something is an atheist, they are kafir, or they are a mu'min, they are a believer. We still have to honor that trust and return the property to them in the best condition, the same way at least that it was given to us. Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, he said, make your own self the standard in social conduct between yourself and the other person. Thus do like the same for other people what you love for your own self, and dislike for others what you dislike and hate for yourself. Don't commit excess upon anyone, just as you like that no one commits aggression against yourself. And do favors to others, just as you like people doing favors to you. And what you regard bad for others, regard that bad for yourself as well. If what you like to do with the people is done to you, then love it for yourself. And do not say what you don't know. Instead, even don't say all that you know, and do not utter a word which you dislike others saying to you. You know, when somebody says something, for example, you wouldn't like that said to you, but maybe you say that about other people all the time. And we don't think about it, and we say this person such and such, and we say all sorts of things. But if someone said that about us, then we wouldn't like it. Um, you know, so we don't like other people saying bad things about us, so we should also not like saying bad things about others. Oftentimes, someone comes and says something nice to you, but as soon as they walk away, we have many bad things to say about that person. This is not returning the favor in the same way. This actually happens a lot. Someone comes, someone is with a group of friends. For example, there's a group of ladies and they're all together talking, and then another lady comes and says such and salam and how are you, and you have a nice outfit or something, and then that sister walks away, and then they all start talking about the one that walked away. But just a second ago, everyone was nice and smiling. But as soon as they walk away, they're talking bad about the person. Same happens with brothers also. So it's not returning the favor in the same way. If someone comes to us and is nice to us, we should also be nice to them. We should also initiate kindness towards other people, and we should never say anything bad about people, even if they are saying bad things about us. If we do it in this way, for example, there is a person, and many people say a lot of bad things about him, but he is innocent and he has done nothing wrong. But people are always talking about him. Maybe they are jealous or something like that. If he doesn't reply and doesn't say anything against that other person, he doesn't start hating them or talking bad about them also, then whatever bad is said about him, it doesn't hurt him. It is only adding good deeds to his scale, actually. So the person, maybe the people have gathered together and are insulting that individual, whether he's an alim or he's a businessman or he's just a regular person in community. Everyone is gathered and starts talking bad about him, but he hasn't done anything wrong. All those things they are saying bad about him, they will count as good deeds for him, as long as he is not saying bad things about them. So some people's, maybe they are looked down upon by others, but in the end, in day of resurrection, they will see that they have lost a lot of their deeds because of talking bad against one person, whoever they were talking bad against, and that person that they were talking against will have a lot of their good deeds, from the other people. It will be transferred to them. So it's better, like we said, to swallow the anger and swallow the pride and not reply to them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows if we are innocent of what they say or not. There's so much emphasis on returning the trust from the Imams of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. It's shown to us that it doesn't matter who the person is that's entrusting something with us. Rather, it's not the person, it's the thing that we must honor, the trust that is given to us. We have to honor the trust. So it doesn't matter if they are kafir, they are mushrik, they are Masihi or Christian or Yahud, Jewish or anything. It doesn't matter. The emphasis is on what they have given us. We need to honor those things. So uh, we see that from Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. I've mentioned these before, but I'll mention again just to emphasize quickly. Imam Ali alayhi salam said, return and keep the deposits of everyone, even if they are the killers of the prophets. Imam Sajjad alayhi salam said, by he who has sent Muhammad as a prophet of truth, even if the killer of my father, Hussein ibn Ali, entrusts me with the sword which he killed my father with, I will surely give it back to him. Subhanallah. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, Allah never appointed anyone to prophethood unless he was honest and trustworthy. As-Sadiq, well, Ameen. And we must return what we are entrusted with to its owner, whether he is a good doer or an evil doer. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, return whatever you are entrusted with to its owner, even if the owner is the murderer of Imam Hussein. He also said, be pious and return the property that you have been entrusted with, since I shall even return any property of Imam Ali's murderer to him, if he entrusted me with his property. So it's not just one or two narration. There are a ton of narrations in regard to this. So we have to return the favors in the same way, regardless who they are, who entrusted them to us. You know, so regarding anything entrusted to us, we have to fulfill it, whether they are a believer or not. And some may think that since they are disbelievers, that we don't owe them anything, and that their property has no value whatsoever. But we see that the Imams of guidance, alayhi salam, they have stated the opposite. So it doesn't matter the person, it matters the thing that they are giving us. We are honoring the trust. Imam Bakr alayhi salam, he said, Allah has not given superiority to a mu'min, a believer, in three cases. First, to return what has been entrusted to you for safekeeping, whether it belongs to a mu'min or kafir. Second, fulfilling an oath, whether it is given to a mu'min or a kafir. Third, doing good to parents, whether they are mu'min or they are kafir. When we honor the trust and are kind to others by doing favors to them, it will encourage people to think favorably of Islam. We can be ambassadors for the religion by only our actions without never saying even one word. Or we can do the opposite and we can treat people unfairly, impolitely, and we will push people away from Islam. They will develop a bad opinion about Islam. They will say all the Muslims are cheats and robbers and always out to get you. And we do have some places that are like this. There are majority of Muslims, unfortunately, but they are only out to cheat you and to get over on you. And, unfortunately, this is because they have not acquired the knowledge of Islam as taught by the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they only have the name of Islam because their parents were Muslim and grandparents were Muslim, but they don't know anything regarding the deen. If they knew the life of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, they wouldn't behave like that. I remember one time a convert brother joined the community and he saw all the bad behavior and all the trickery that was going on and said that I was safer around the non-Muslims than here. And this is the sad situation that has infected the Muslim community like a disease. And the disease needs to be treated by learning and implementing the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and narrations from Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. I remember one time I went to a community and brother picked me up and we were driving in the car and he was talking about problems in the business And I told him maybe he should find some good brothers in community to do business with. And he said, never. He said, I've only had bad experiences with dealing with Muslims in the community. They have always tried to get over on me, to cheat me, to steal from me, and this and that. Whereas when I deal with the non-Muslim, they are honoring me and my contracts and they're behaving by the law. Whereas the Muslims think they are above the law and they can do anything they want because I'm a Muslim and I won't do anything back to them. Now, unfortunately, this is the times that we are living in, where the Muslims will cheat each other, but they will be good with they will follow the rules when it comes to non-believers. So this gives bad impression. Imagine someone's come to a community, embrace Islam, and they think that, have joined something great, which they have, but then they come there and they see that the people are behaving worse than the place they left. What will convince them to stay there? When we have a masjid or Husseiniya, board members should always think, if someone walked through the door of this center right now, what would their reaction be? How would they feel? How would they be welcomed? What would be something that stood out to them that would make them want to come back here? And we should make the experience for them something that would make them want to come back, something that would make them want to invite their family, something to make them invite their coworkers, their friends, their associates, and say, I found such a beautiful place. You should also come experience it. But if the opposite happens, they won't come back anymore, and they'll tell other people to stay away. And we see that one negative comment can have ripple effects on a business or a community where people won't want to go there and they won't even risk going there because they saw negative comments. So we have to make sure that we don't get negative comments, and if we do, we analyze it and say, okay, what went wrong? Let's fix it. Imam Ali alayhi salam said, prevail over your enemy by doing favors to him. This is more successful. You will save yourself from people by good manners and swallowing the anger. This is the narration I mentioned earlier. I did not find a sweeter thing than swallowing one's anger in the end, and nothing more pleasant in consequence. So many times people will say things out of anger to hurt the other one, but this is not the way to behave with each other. Rather than saying something harmful to someone which we can't take back, it's better to restrain our anger and let ourselves cool off for a little bit. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he said, the best trait is doing favors towards other people. And people always look favorably upon the one who is kareem. He is generous and he does favors for others. We should want to be known as being generous people, and people that others can look towards for help. So some may think that favors, they should only be done towards a certain group of people. But let's see what the Imam says. A man said in front of Imam Hussein alayhi salam that favors are worthless if they are done to other than their people. Imam replied, no, this isn't accurate. Favors should be like the heavy rain that covers the pious and the sinful. When it rains, it doesn't just rain on the mu'mineen, it rains on everyone. We see that although some people they deny the existence of Allah, they still benefit from His grace and His mercy. He provides them with the faculties they need to be alive. He gives them air to breathe. He gives them sustenance, whether they are believers in Him or not. We also see that this is something that Imam Sadiq alayhi salam mentioned in a longer narration. He says, do you not see the sun shines upon the believers and the disbelievers, and the rain comes down upon the good and the bad? One of the late ulama, he said something to this effect. He said that Allah will supply both parties, believers and disbelievers. We supply both these and those from the bounty of your Lord. One of the ayat from Quran. He said, this is because Allah is truly a source of bounty, bounty such as rain. When it rains, it pours upon the houses of the believers and upon the disbelievers. When the sun shines, its rays enter both the houses of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the house of Abu Jahl. The rivers pass through the cities of the believers and the disbelievers. He said, Allah's blessings are always like this. It's the nature of this dunya. So we see that favors are done towards believers and disbelievers. When we see that, for example, there's someone who is in need of something, we shouldn't say, "Oh, he is a disbeliever. We shouldn't help him at all." Rather, when we help those people, maybe they will come towards Islam because of our being favorable towards them. It's even mentioned that the Prophet used to give things to some of the people in order to win their hearts over towards Islam, make them see the Muslims as being kind and generous, and they would feel compassion towards them, and eventually they would become Muslims because of that. Imam Bakr alayhi salam said, he who does the like of what was done to him is rewarding properly. So if you return the favor as it was done to you, this is the proper way of doing it. But Imam says, he who doubles the favor is regarded as being someone who is thankful. And he who thanks is regarded as generous. So returning the favor in the same way is the least that we can do. To be generous would be to return the favor to him with something extra, with the intention of a gift, not as riba or interest, but as a gift. This will also encourage the one who gave in the first place to give more to others in the future. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, if you have done a favor to someone, you should not violate it by mentioning it and showing the obligation to him. You should not attach another favor to the previous one. This will be more fitting for you and will make your reward in the world to come more fixed. So when we have done a favor to someone, we should not bring it up in the future, because this will be a sort of humiliation towards the one who received the favor. Some do this in a way to make it feel like they are superior to them and that this person needed his help and he was the one who saved him from the trouble. And he makes the other person feel indebted to him for the rest of his entire existence. He says, if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have that house. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have that job. And he brings it up, throws it in his face. And this is wrong, and it will actually nullify the charity that was done, because charity, as the Quran says, shouldn't be followed by injury. And we see that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, he said to Imam Ali alayhi salam, Ya Ali, 4 matters are the quickest in punishment: to recompense the favor with mistreatment, to trespass him who does not show hostility, to break the faith of the party who keeps up his faith, and to rupture the relations with the relatives who regard you properly. So one of these quick thing to bring punishment is to, when someone does a favor towards us, that we follow up the favor with mistreatment and injury and bring it up to them and make them feel bad about it and all of these things. We should return the favor in the same way that it was done to us, which is at least the bare minimum we can do. But the better thing is to, double the favor. For example, someone gives you their car and says, I'm going to borrow my car to you. Maybe the car has a quarter of a tank of gas. That's all you need. You need to go run some errands around town. Your car got in an accident. It's in the shop, and they borrow you the car. Okay, to be fair and just is to return the car with a quarter tank of gas. But to be generous is to return the car with a full tank of gas. This is a better way to be thankful and to give someone more than what they gave to you. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bestow us the tawfiq, or the divine privilege, to be generous towards each other, and the ability to help and assist one another, and to grow closer together as one big family of believers. And we close with the dua. ربنا اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم. O our Lord, forgive us and our brothers in faith who preceded us, and remove any hostility that is in our hearts toward the believers. Our Lord, verily you are the most compassionate and the most merciful. And we also ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help and assist and aid those who are suffering in the world right now, especially those brothers and sisters in Palestine and Lebanon and Yemen and Iraq and all around the world where people are suffering, and to hasten the reappearance of our 12th Imam. Allahumma ajjal waliyaka al-faraj. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد
اللهم صل
وآل
على